absolutely loved this book. Oh my gosh, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Wow. She was still like, no, God is going to come through. I trust him. And oh, it gives me chills. Let me rank all of Emily Henry's books. So it's so sad, but it's so good. Like, I can't stop. I love this so much. This was a 5-star read for me. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a wrap up of all of the books that I've read in the past few months. I would say this is probably from like March until now. So that's about like 4 months worth of books. But it's not going to be a ton because I've been in the biggest book slump this whole entire year, honestly. I think I have about like 8 to 10 books here that I'm going to be talking about today. Lots of really good books, lots of books that maybe I didn't love so much, and some in-betweens. Let's go ahead and get into all the books that I've read recently. All right, starting off with March's books, the first book that I read was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I feel like if you are not living under a rock, you've probably seen this book or seen this series. This is the 3rd book in the Fourth Wing series. Honestly, one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. I haven't read that many fantasy series, but it is definitely one of my favorites. I absolutely loved this book, honestly. Personally, for this series, I do not like to watch or listen to any reviews that have already come out from people reading because I don't want my opinion to be skewed, and that's exactly what I did for this. I avoided all kinds of reviews, any videos, anything about this book because I personally, as much as I don't want my opinion to be skewed, it will be if I'm hearing other people saying that they don't like it or they do like it, whatever. And so yeah, I went in blind, and I'm very, very happy that I did. I will say I did have to go back before I started it to kind of refresh on what happened in Iron Flame because it is just so heavy. There's so much world building and just so much information that I forgot everything that happened. Especially with reading so many books, like things kind of mesh together a little bit. It is very long. I think it's like 550 pages. So it's definitely a long one, but it was all so worth it to me. Like, once I started reading it, I jumped right back into what was happening and just like remembered everything. I loved my time reading this. I actually filmed myself reading this for a reading vlog, and I think it's like my most recent reading vlog. You can tell in the video, like I genuinely loved every single part of it. I felt very into it and very engaged. Like I never wanted to put the book down unless I like absolutely had to, which is a great sign for a book. Like, if you don't have to put the book down, that's how you know it's a good book. I just didn't feel like I was getting distracted, which can happen sometimes when I'm reading books. I took some notes on here, so people may have rated it a little bit lower because of this, but I personally loved that it did not focus a ton on the romance. Obviously, it was still very present, but it was a lot more focused on like what was happening and, you know, what the goal that they were trying to reach with the dragons and everything, which I just really, really enjoyed. Like I said, it was just all so interesting to me, and I was like so eager to figure out what was going to happen. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I would love to go and reread the series. I'll probably do it once the series is completely finished. I want to say I think there's going to be 5 books, but I don't know for sure. Maybe it's only 4. I don't know, but either way, I love this so much. This was a 5-star read for me. Oh, it just gives me chills thinking about it. Like, I genuinely really loved it so much. Next up, I read Norah Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. This is another book that I included in that reading vlog. This tells the story of Norah and Leo. So Norah is a screenwriter, and she is writing a movie about her life and her split with her husband. In this story, the main character that plays her husband in the movie, Leo, and he decides that he's going to plant himself and stay on her lawn for the time that this movie is being filmed because it's filmed at her house. So she wanted to use like a specific part of her house for the video or for the movie. So he decides he's going to stay here. Eventually, as he's spending more time at her house around Norah, we can all imagine what's going to happen. They end up falling for each other. And Norah's also a single mom, so she has a few kids as well. But the husband is just not in the picture at all, like not even with the kids barely. I really enjoyed the fact that Leo kind of played like a father figure for the kids because they didn't really have that. I enjoyed the romance. I will say it was very, very insta-lovey, which is not my favorite. I prefer to have some build-up going into a romance, but this was a little bit more insta-love. Some notes that I have was that it was kind of surface level. There's not much emotional depth, which is typically what you see with like insta-love unless it comes like later on in the book. Just really enjoyed how everything kind of tied together at the end. It definitely took a turn and I wasn't expecting it, but the way that it all tied together I did enjoy. And overall this was a 3 out of 5 stars for me. So not a favorite because of the insta-love. That just is something that I just really don't enjoy in books, but it was still a good book. I still love her writing, lots of good quotes, and yeah, I'm currently reading It's a Love Story by her, so I'm excited to see how that goes. The next book that I picked up was The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. Part of this I listened to on audiobook, and then part of it I actually read the book because I ran out of audiobook hours. So by her, I've read Redeeming Love, this one, and then I also just read another one that I will talk about later in this video. So this was my second book by her. I love the cover, by the way. So beautiful. One of the main characters, Roman, is an artist, which is kind of why the cover is like that, because it's like a drawing. Grace is the girl main character. This is a Christian fiction, by the way. So Grace is a believer, Roman is not. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I believe Grace gets hired to be like a personal assistant for Roman. He kind of picks up that she is talking about her faith. I think she's a single mom, if I remember correctly. Either way, Grace starts talking about her faith a little bit more, and Roman is questioning it, but also interested at the same time. You know, she's like trying to teach him more about God. Something big ends up happening, kind of really pushes him to lean on his faith a lot more. It was just so cool to see someone who is not a believer, and just to see how like Jesus can literally change someone's life in an instant. And once they have that encounter with him, it's like there's no going back. Quite literally, there is no going back. It also talked about building community, which I really enjoyed, for someone who's never like experienced being around other believers, and just like what that looks like. And yeah, and I remember when I first experienced that, it was like, wow, like these people openly talk about their faith and like pray over each other and stuff. And then it also talks about the difference between religion and what the church can make religion look like versus a personal relationship with Jesus, and you know, the difference of the two, because churches are flawed, people are flawed, but Jesus is like the truth, and he is the one who saves us, not worldly people who are going to have flaws. Yeah, overall, this was a really good book. I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, next up we have A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Of course, I had to pick this book up. She is one of my all-time favorite authors, so I could not pass up on her new release. This came out in April, I believe, end of April. This tells the story of Alice. She is a writer. She is competing for this writing position to tell the story about Margaret. And she's competing with Hayden, which is another writer. So they're competing to tell Margaret's story, which Margaret is like a very famous, rich, old money type of person that has been in the tabloids all her life, very well known. She gets to the point where she is ready to tell her story, ready to tell what happened between her and her family, and she is looking for a writer to basically write the book. She brings these two people on, Hayden and Alice, to kind of compete for, I think it's like a month, collecting all of this information on Margaret, and then she's going to decide at the end which one she wants to tell the story. I honestly really enjoyed this book. I loved the dynamic. I loved how different it was compared to all of Emily Henry's books. It was just such a different dynamic. It really reminded me of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I enjoyed that book a lot as well. You have the famous person who wants to tell their story, and then you also have like the writer who is collecting all this information, but throughout the entire book, you're going back and forth between Margaret's story and, you know, past tense and then also present tense, and this romance that's also building between the two main characters. It was just really good, and I really enjoyed it. So I give this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I love all of Emily Henry's books, and I will never skip one of her books ever. I honestly would love to go back and reread this. It truly was a really good book. Let me rank all of Emily Henry's books. So number 1 is obviously Happy Place. Then I would say probably Book Lovers. I loved that one so much. Maybe between Book Lovers and this one, honestly. I don't know which one I would put top. And then we have People We Meet on Vacation. I honestly love that book as well. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I really liked it. So we have Happy Place, Book Lovers, Great Big Beautiful Life, People We Meet on Vacation, Beach Read, and then Funny Story. I know Beach Read's really far down, but maybe I need to reread that because I feel like so many people really liked that, and I didn't like it as much, I feel like, but maybe I should go back and reread it. I should do a video where I reread all of her books. The next book I have is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This is a mystery thriller book. She is the author to Rock, Paper, Scissors, which I read like 2 years ago now. It's been a minute since I read that, but I picked this up randomly. I thought it was her new release. I don't remember what that book is called. So this tells the story of a girl who went into a coma named Amber. She pretty much has no idea like what happened. So you have present tense, and then you also have past tense, and then we also have past tense, which is with Amber and like her mom and how she grew up with letters, which was really interesting. Letters is definitely a theme with Alice Feeney because she also did letters for Rock, Paper, Scissors. So you're kind of like figuring out throughout the story why she's in a coma and what exactly happened and like her family dynamics and stuff and her husband and how it all combines. I will say I feel like the story was quite predictable and I kind of knew what was going to happen, but it was still enjoyable and it was very fast paced and I still had a good time while I was reading it. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was still really good. It was a good mystery. The next book I read was on my Kindle and it was called The All of God. I don't have the physical copy, but I got recommended this book by someone on social media. I don't remember who it was or when it was, but I actually really like this book. I read this over a long period of time because I did not want to read it super quickly. I wanted to like make sure I was taking it all in. It was really nice too because throughout the book it's like a structured book where you read like a page a day or a chapter a day. It was kind of like paced out for you in that way, which was really nice. This book specifically was talking about like the fear of God and what it means to fear God, and not in like a bad way of what people think that fearing God is, but in a way that like you don't want to displease him. Basically, like when you are fearing God, it's out of love for him and you don't want to disappoint him. Honestly, a great reminder for what it means to fear God and just like good things that can come out of it, and that God is not like this mad father that is going to punish you. It's genuinely like out of his love for you and the love that like we should have for him too, and that relationship's going to come like as we continue to fear God and build and grow. And it's so crazy to like think about it too, because when I had just gotten saved, like for real saved, you know, not just like saying I'm a Christian, but like actually being saved, I never really understood what the fear of God was. And now that I'm like, you know, years into my walk with the Lord, I can see like how it's just so easy to fear him now. Like it's so easy to just like do what he wants me to do because I love him, rather than like constantly battling back and forth of like, oh, well, what does my flesh want and what do I want, rather than like, what does God want from me? It's just like immediately like, no, I'm going to do what God wants from me, obviously, because I love him and I don't want to disappoint him. It's just really cool to see that change that God has like placed in my heart for him. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I rated it 4.25 out of 5. I feel like that's such a specific rating, but it was really good. The next book that I picked up was Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is the 3rd book in the Boys of Tommen series. And this tells the story of Joey and Effie. I never know how to pronounce that name. I think that's how you say it. It's like Aoife. So it's a very, very odd spelling, but this was the first book of Joey's story. The first 2 books tell the story of Johnny and Shannon and their kind of love story. So now we're going into Shannon's brother's story, Joey. I like this one because it was a little bit shorter than all the other ones, although the 4th book, their 2nd book, is so much longer. It's like double the size, but it was kind of nice to have a little bit of a smaller book in this series because they're all so large. But I will say they go by very, very quickly, especially reading on my Kindle. Like I feel like I fly through those things and they're so easy to read too. It's not anything like you have to think super hard, and I love the characters as well, so it makes it a lot easier to read too. But I really enjoyed this. I mean, they're all so good. Like I will say the first book that I read, the first book in the series, I was very questionable as to if I was going to like it or not, just because some of the verbiage that they use is not my favorite. There's definitely like some spice scenes too, which is probably one of the things that I didn't like the most about this. But overall, I still love the characters. I love hearing about like why they are the way that they are and the things that they've gone through, and it's so sad, but it's so good. Like I can't stop. This one was a 4.25 as well out of 5 stars. Now we go into this. You guys, this was one of my favorite books that I've read this year, and oh my gosh, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Wow. This was so good. I haven't read a Taylor Jenkins Reid book in so long. This is One True Loves. I don't even know if I said the title, but I have had this on my bookshelf. This is probably one of the very first books that I ever bought when I started reading. And I don't know why. I just never picked it up. And I'm so mad at myself because this was so freaking good. This is a romance book. This tells a story between Emma. She is originally married to Jesse and he is a pilot. He gets in a helicopter crash, or his helicopter goes missing, never returns. So many years later, she ends up getting remarried to Sam, and that is her old friend that she runs into, and she ends up getting married to him. So we also do have kind of like present and past tense timelines, I believe. This book was so freaking good. I literally finished this in like one day. I think I took a picture of a few quotes. Actually, let me go back and see. I just did not expect to like this as much as I did, honestly. I forgot how much I love TJR's writing, how well she just puts a story together, and especially a romance. I don't know if I've read Malibu Rising by her. Is that a romance? I literally don't even know. When you love someone, it seeps out of everything you do. It bleeds into everything you say. It becomes so ever present that eventually it becomes ordinary to hear, no matter how extraordinary it is to feel. Like, what? Maybe if you're the kind of person who's willing to give all of yourself, the kind of person who is willing to love with all of your heart, and even though you've experienced just how much it can hurt, maybe you get a lot of true loves then. Maybe that's the gift you get for being brave. I'm a woman who dares to love again. I finally love that about myself. It's messy to love after heartbreak. It's painful, and it forces you to be honest with yourself about who you are. You have to work harder to find the words for your feelings because they don't fit into any prefabricated boxes, but it's worth it because look what you get. Great love, meaningful loves, true loves. It's so good. Oh my gosh. I want to reread it. This was a 5-star as well for me, if you couldn't tell. I loved it. Highly recommend. I'm so mad it sat on my shelf for like 4 years. I just realized I did not read any books in April. These were all from March and May. So that's fun. Then I tried to start reading Heartless Again by Marissa Meyer. I originally read this a few years ago or started reading it, and I could not get into it. So I started to read it again because I wanted to give it another chance, you know. And this is a fantasy book. I think it's YA as well. It tells the story of Catherine, and she is a baker. It says, Catherine may be one of the most desired girls in Wonderland and the favorite of the unmarried king, but her interests lie elsewhere. A talented baker, she wants to open a shop and create delectable pastries. But for her mother, such a goal is unthinkable for a woman who could be a queen. At a royal ball where Kath is expected to receive the king's marriage proposal, she meets handsome and mysterious Jest. For the first time, she feels a pull of true attraction. At the risk of offending the king and infuriating her parents, she and Jest enter into a secret courtship. Kath is determined to choose her own destiny, but in a land thriving with magic, madness, and monsters, fate has other plans. I'm not gonna lie, I also started trying to listen to the audiobook because I was trying to do anything I could to get into this book, and there was like random creatures and stuff, and it just seemed so childish to me that I could not get into it. And I was like, I'm not going to waste my time over something that I clearly am not enjoying. So I just decided to DNF it. I don't even know how far I got into it, honestly. Let me check my Spotify. I only got 9 chapters into this book, and I think that's like 80 pages. So definitely not super far into it, but I had already tried to read it once before. So I was like, I'm just not going to waste my time if I'm clearly not enjoying it. So sorry if you enjoy this book. I personally did not, and it's just not for me. Okay, then going into my book club book. So I ended up starting a book club last month, and this was our first book that we picked. We kind of all put ideas into a bowl and then drew out of it, and this is the one that we got. So we got the Lineage of Grace by Francine River. So the book club is a Christian-based book club with a few of my girlfriends and also some new girls that I've met. And it has honestly been such a blessing to meet so many new people and to be able to talk about God together. Like, it's just so cool. Like, I never thought that I would ever start something like this, and the Lord like put it on my heart to do that, and we decided to start a Lineage of Grace. And this book is so long. This book is like 550 pages, so it's definitely very lengthy. And it's funny because none of us finished it. I think we all kind of got to the same point. So basically what this is it's telling the story of 5 different women in the Bible, like the lineage of Jesus Christ. So we have Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. So basically all those people are like in the lineage of Jesus Christ. All of these people are in the Bible, so it's all very much like related to biblical times, and it's kind of just like expanded more to be obviously to become a story. I think the author really was trying to paint a picture of what it may have looked like for these people. You're really getting like their perspective and their family and all of that, which is really interesting. I really enjoyed it. Like the amount that I did read, I will say it was really, really good. I think Rahab's story was definitely my favorite. She was a prostitute, and then she helped like the 2 spies get into Jericho so they would be able to get an insight into Jericho so they could eventually conquer it, because it just showed perseverance of her faith and how much like even in the times where it seemed like things were not going to turn out, like she was still like, no, God is going to come through. I trust him. And it gives me chills. Seeing a perspective like that is so encouraging, because you know when we are in moments where it's really, really hard to see God in something, it's like having that faith that like he is going to show up for us and he is going to do what he promises. I just needed that, if you know what I'm saying. Like I just really needed that encouragement, and for it to come true and what she was believing, and her faith to be so strong and rooted in God was so cool. I really do want to finish this. I think I have like literally 200 pages left, so it's going to take me a minute, but I really do want to finish it because obviously I didn't even get to Mary's story, which is like the most important, and I would love to read about her story. It does have actually sections in here that are kind of like book club sections, which was really interesting. We didn't really use those, but I thought it was cool if you are interested in doing like some kind of book club or book discussion. It does have stuff in at the end of each individual chapter. So they're all, yeah, 5 short stories. Really, really good. Highly recommend reading. I have not rated that yet just because I haven't finished it. So, all right, guys, that is the end of today's video, though. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I did just make my August TBR, and I'm really happy with all of those books. So I'm hoping that I can get through those. There's 6 on there, plus my book club book, so really 7. I still have yet to read my book club book for this month, too. Oh my gosh. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.